Alright, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley. So today's video is going to be a story time. So right now I am 21 years old and this happened when I was 18, 19, I don't remember. I think I was 18 going on 19. But basically, oh my gosh, do I want to do this? Okay, but basically there was this guy I was talking to. We were dating, or we weren't official yet, but we were like seeing each other. It wasn't nothing too extravagant, but it was something like I really liked him, he really liked me, or I thought he really liked me. But yeah, we've known each other for years on top of years, and I've always had a crush on him, and he's always sort of had a crush on me, so he said. But he always like dated different girls, so I'm like, you know, I never really paid him no mind. So we graduated from high school, and you know, then we started to hang out more because he was going to the same college that I was going to. So I started seeing him more, and we started talking more, and like, you know, we just hit it off, I guess, and we just started like dating, like going on little casual dates and stuff like that. So months on top of months go on, and we had this routine where he would pick me up from work. Like if I was to get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, like he would pick me up, and like we had this thing where I would text him like 30 minutes ahead just to remind him, like, because you know how guys are, like I would just be like 30 minutes before, like if like, so 4:30 I would text him and be like, look, don't forget me, da 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 da. And he will always text me back and be like, I won't, you know, stuff like that. So one day I'm at work, and you know, I'm about to get off, and so I text him the normal routine. I would text him 30 minutes before, and he didn't text me back. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's asleep. But he knows, he's the type of guy, like, he would not, like, he would just not forget about me. Like, okay, he knew I was getting off at a certain time, but like if he was sleeping, like if he had to fall asleep or something, he would set his alarm on enough time to come get me or whatever. So he didn't text me back, so I'm like, I'm just brushing it off, like, okay, I know he got me, he won't do that, whatever, he just won't forget me. So the time's coming close when I'm about to get off, and I'm like, okay, no text back, no text back, no text back. Okay, and I didn't want to like blow his phone up, like, you know, where you at, who you with. I didn't want to do that because that kind of, I didn't want to like push him away. So the time comes, I'm officially off work. I called him, it rang, called him off my job phone, and rang. So I'm like, okay, he better be knocked out, because you know, you girls know how us girls are, you know, like we start thinking shit, oh, he's with another girl, or that, like, you know, he's doing this or that, like, you know how you girls, we know, you know how we think. So but I was trying so hard not to think like that, because I just always want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Like I didn't want to, but like what if something happened to him? Like I didn't want to be coming at him like, oh, he's doing this, oh, he's doing that, and next you know, something really happened to him. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I take a cab home. Yeah, I took a cab home, and I'm at home chilling, you know. So hours go by, and he's like, I think like 2 hours went by. And this, I didn't get off work at 5 o'clock this day. I got off work kind of earlier because it was like it was kind of slow. It was going to be slow that day. So, you know, I got off work early. So it was like 3 o'clock. So 2 hours go by. And it's like 5. Yeah, it's like 5 something. And I'm like, okay, I still haven't heard from him. So I called him. Keep ringing. I'm like, okay, fine. So when I couldn't take it anymore, like I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a cab and go to his house. So I took a cab. I didn't make the cab drop me directly in front of his house. I made the cab like drop me down, like down the street by like a little store that there was a store down the street from his house. So I made the cab drop me off there, and I walked to his down the street to like his house area. So his car was in the parking lot. So I'm like, okay, his car's in the parking lot, so he's home, because he doesn't rely on anybody else to give him a ride. He has his car, so he's gonna drive his car. So he's home. So I'm like, okay, so maybe he's ignoring me, or maybe he's sleeping, like I don't know, or maybe he's a girl in the house. So me being the type of person that I am, girls, we're crazy. Like, we're just naturally born crazy, like, I feel like. So me being the type of girl I am, I'm like, should I knock on the door? Or, because I knew, and I also knew where he kept his spare key, because he had roommates, so I knew where they keep their spare key. Or should I just go in the house and like go in, like, you know? And because I've done it before. So what should I do, that, or should I go in the backyard? Because his window was like in the backyard area. So I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking of what I should do. So I finally say, okay, I'm not gonna go in his house, because that's disrespectful, the way because it's like, I don't have any good intentions. Because if I go in the house and I see him with a girl, I'm gonna go crazy. But like, so I decided to go in the backyard, and I go by his window, and he always kept his window cracked because it was always so hot in his house. And he's the type of person, he doesn't like to be too cold, but he doesn't like to be hot. So he wouldn't put the air conditioner on, so he would just have like the ceiling fan on, and the window cracked, and that would make his room kind of cool. So I'm peeping, I'm quiet, like I turned my phone off because I did not want any type of noise. I wanted to make sure that I was quiet, like a mouse trying to sneak in the house. Like, that's what I was quiet. So I'm peeping. I'm peeping through the window. Guys, it's about to get juicy. So I'm peeping through the window, and I'm like, the way his bed is set up, you gotta like be like inspect the gadget, and you have to like really go put your eyes to the window and be like, you know, like that. So I'm looking and I'm looking, and I see him laying in the bed. He's laying in the bed like this, texting, right? Then I'm like, okay, he's home. He's laying in his bed. He's texting. He's on his phone. So you see my phone calls. You see what time it is. You see my texts. Like, I didn't get a response. So I'm like, at this point, I'm just like, you know, F him. I don't have time for this. Like, I don't like to be ignored. So I'm still like just looking. And all I hear is somebody say, babe. And let me tell you guys, it wasn't a girl's voice. But it was like a girl's voice, but you could tell it was a fake. Like, you know how, I don't want to be rude, but you know how gay men, who try to act like a female, you know how they tend to put on the feminine voice. So I'm like, okay. So I'm listening hard, and he's like, and then he's talking, like they're having a conversation, and he's like, I think I'm gonna get going, you know, I gotta get ready to go to work. And I'm like, that's a dude. Then I'm still like watching. I'm still watching. And I see this guy reach over and kiss the boy that I liked. And that was it for me. I'm like, so he's gay. Like, that's my reaction. Like, I'm like, I backed up and I'm like, so he's gay. Like, he's gay. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't know how to feel. I really did not know how to feel. I was in total shock, guys. When I say I was in complete shock, like, I was completely shocked. I was like, he's gay. I just kept saying he's gay in my head, not out loud, of course, but I'm like, he's gay. Like, what? This dude is gay? Because that has never happened to me before, ever. And I'm like, wow, like, that's crazy. Like, I'm just thinking to myself, that's so crazy. Then so I'm like, so I back away from the window. I'm like, I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see any more. And so I go through this, like, I kind of, the way his neighborhood set up, they don't have any fences, so I kind of sneak through his back door, goes to the neighbor back door, then on my way back to the store. And I call my friend and I'm like, girl, you will not believe what I just seen. And she's like, what? And I'm like, so he didn't pick me up, you know, he usually picks me up, he didn't pick me up. And I'm like, okay, I just got sidetracked. Okay, he didn't pick me up, blah blah blah. And she's like, and I'm like, girl, the whole time I'm thinking he was with a girl. I went to his house, and she's like, girl, you're so crazy. Like, why would you even go? Like, why did you even go to his house? I'm like, girl, like, I don't want to hear it. Like, either way, I suspected something, so I went and tried to figure out what it was. So I'm like, girl, but guess who I seen him with? And she's like, what? I'm like, a guy. And I saw him kiss, like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm sitting here at the store and I'm like, should I go knock on a door, or should I call him and be like, I seen you? Or what should I do? And she's like, you know, that's an awkward situation. I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't want to put him on the spot. And me being the type of person I am, I don't like to put people out on the spot. I don't like for people to feel embarrassed, because I wouldn't want anyone to do that to me. I feel like that's just like a low blow, and I would rather him eventually tell me what it was, you know? So she's like, girl, where you at? She's like, where you at? I'm about to come meet you. And so I told her the address or whatever. And she comes, like, but she was late, obviously. She comes, she didn't make it on time for the other guy, like the guy I saw him with. She didn't make it on time for him to, like, drive off. Like, I guess he had already, not drive off, because his car, I didn't see another car in the parking lot in his house. But she didn't make it on time for him to actually, for us to actually see the guy come out his house. But so she came, we're sitting in the car, and I'm just like, and then I just decided I'm gonna text him, like, and I texted him, I was like, are you okay? He texted me back saying, yeah, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. I see you forgot to pick me up. And he's like, OMG. He's like, OMG, I'm so sorry, like, I didn't mean to do that. Like, okay, he was like, I'm gonna make it up to you, I'm about to come over your house. I'm like, nah, that's okay. Like, that's okay. I don't need you to come over my house and make it up to me. And he's like, you know, I'm gonna make it up to you, I'm about to come over your house. I'm like, nah, that's okay. Like, nah. I'm like, nah, bro. And then I'm like, okay. So then he calls me and I reject it. And he's calling me. He called me like 5 times. I rejected. Then I see this guy, and then I see him go in his car, and he is about to drive off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know he's not about to go to my house, because if I keep rejecting his call, he's eventually gonna get mad. He's gonna come to my house, blah, blah. I'm like, you know, I'm not even gonna try. And she's like, my friend's like, do you wanna go and beat him to your house? I'm like, no, I don't wanna do that. So, you know, so me and her, we're just talking, we're coming up with a plan, like, how am I gonna say it? Because I didn't want to be with him after that, because that's just a weird situation for me, and I didn't want to be put in that kind of position. Like, if you're gonna be with a guy, then be with a guy. Don't sit there and make it seem like you're straight when you're not. Be true to yourself. You know, I'm all about people being true to themselves. You don't have to be with me if you don't want to be with me. You don't have to be with women if you don't want to be with women. If you want to be with a guy, be with a guy. That's your personal preference, and I support you. But just, you didn't have to lead me on to think that you liked me. Like, that's what I'm telling her. And she's like, you know what, just tell him that. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, eventually I'm like, okay, just start me home. And he wasn't there when I got home, so I don't know where the hell he went. I thought he was going to my house. But this is a long story. I'm gonna try to shorten it up a little bit. So basically, I get home, and I eventually call him, and he's like, what are you doing? Why were you rejecting my call? He was like, I was about to come to your house, but I didn't want you to feel like I was pushy. And I'm like, no. And then I was like, you know what, just come over. I was like, just come over. So he comes over and you know, he tries to kiss me and stuff, and I'm like, nah bro. I'm like, nah. I didn't say nah bro, but I'm just like, we need to talk. And I'm like, so I sit him down, and I had to put it where I had to kind of like fabricate. He knows the truth now, but then he didn't know the truth. I was like, look, I had to make it seem like I wasn't crazy, because if he heard that I was in his backyard, he would have been like, that's some creepy shit, like who does that, and da 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 da. And I would have been like, well, you know, us girls are crazy. And he hates when I say that, because he's like, just because girls are crazy don't mean you have to follow the bunch and be that crazy girl. But I don't got time to hear no stories. I caught you, you know. So I'm just like, you know, I'm kind of thinking of how I'm going to tell him this, like how I'm gonna confront him. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, I seen you. And he's like, I couldn't think of no other way. I was like, I seen you. He was like, what do you mean you see me? And I was like, me and my friends, I'm not gonna say any name. I'm not saying any names to the story, because it's only 4 main people: me, my friend, him, and his guy. So I don't need to add in extra people. I mean, any names. So I'm like, I seen you. And he's like, what do you mean you seen me? He's like, me and my friend, we drove up and we seen a guy leaving your house, and I've never seen him before. And he was like, what does that mean? He's like, that doesn't mean anything. And and the look at his face, you could tell like, oh shit, like oh shit, my secret. And I'm like, you could just be honest with me. And he was like, what do you mean be honest with you? Like this, I am being honest with you. I was sleeping. He told me he was sleeping. He was like, he was sleeping. And I was like, be honest with me. And I was like, let's just like be honest with me. If it's one thing I hate when you're caught with something and obviously I know and you're still lying to me. Like, I caught you. Like, be honest. And he's like, I am being honest. I'm like, no, you're not. Just tell me the truth. And then he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's getting mad at me. He's getting all rowdy. I'm like, why are you getting upset? Just tell me. I was like, just be honest. I just keep saying, I was like, just be honest. It's easier to tell the truth than to lie. And he's like, I'm telling you. He's like, there's nothing else to tell you. That's the truth. And I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? I seen you and the guy in the bed kissing. And he's like, what? He's like, why? He's like, why are you making up shit? He's like, all loud, la 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 la. He's never gotten loud with me before. So I was kind of like, oh, did I just start something that I don't want to be involved in? And then he's like, why you lying, blah blah blah, stop making up shit, like that's not funny, you crazy, you really crazy, and I don't think we should talk no more. And I'm like, that's fine. If you don't want to talk to me, don't talk to me. But you should have been honest with me from the jump. I start getting a little ghetto, because I'm not a ghetto person, but when I'm mad or when I feel like people are coming at me, I tend to get I'm gonna get rowdy back. So I'm like, that's okay. I'm like, that's okay. You don't gotta be with me. I already know the truth. You should have been honest with me from the jump, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And I'm just like going at it. We're just arguing back and forth. We're just arguing back and forth. And he's like, and then I'm like, hey. And then he's about to leave. So I'm like, hey, if you're gay, I probably shouldn't have said it, because I probably made him feel some type of way. I tried to say it the best way I could have, but I just wanted to let him know, like, look, I'm here if you want to talk to me. I'm not that type of girl like, oh, you're gay, I need to put you out on the spot. No, I would, like, in front of everybody, blast you like some girls be doing on Facebook and stuff like that. I didn't need to do that. So I'm like, look, if you're gay, that's your personal preference. I don't have anything against gay people, but you should have been honest with me from the jump. And I'm always here if you want to talk. You don't have to sit there and be somebody you're not, okay? We're not in high school anymore. We're in college. You're free to be whoever you want with and then you don't have to worry about people judging you, you know? And I'm like, if you want to talk to me, my phone is always available for you. And I will always be your friend, and I will always love you as a person. That's what I said to him. And he just kept on walking, went in his car, and drove off. And I'm like, whatever. So, my hair looks kind of crazy. So I'm like, whatever. So I felt some type of way, because in my heart I really did like this guy. And to find out that he was basically gay, the way I found out was kind of like a slap in the face. Like damn. So I'm like, okay. So the next day he didn't talk to me. The next day after that he didn't talk to me. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's really not going to speak to me. So, you know, we're in school and we bump heads. Like, we bump into each other. And this was like almost a week after the situation. We bump heads. And I try to, like, you know, you haven't been talking to me, so I'm not going to be the first person to speak to you. So we made eye contact. It was so awkward. We made eye contact. And, like, we're just walking past each other. Like, we're just looking at each other. And I just ended up I just keep walking. Like, I'm about to go to my class. Like, I don't got time for you. Then he's like, and then he texts me. He's like, you look nice today. And I was like, thank you. I was surprised. I automatically said, thank you. I'm like, oh, he texted me. Maybe he's about to come open. And then he's like, let's have lunch. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I was still kind of mad, but I'm thinking, like, you know, maybe he's about to open up to me, whatever. And then, so we have lunch. We're at this pizza place around in the school area. And so we're sitting down and he's like, I'm gonna buy you lunch, whatever. I'm gonna make it up to you for being late and picking you up late. I'm like, look, you don't have to do that. I have my own money. I don't need you to buy me anything, you know, or feel like you're obligated to buy me anything. You don't owe me anything. And then he's like, but I want to. And then I'm like, whatever. So we're talking and we're just talking about regular shit. Like, we didn't bring up a topic. He didn't bring up the topic. And then I'm just like looking at him and I'm like, look, when are you gonna be honest with me? I didn't want to be pushy, but I couldn't help myself. I wanted him to be honest with me. And then he's like, and then he's just looking at me. And then I'm like, just be honest. And then he starts crying and I'm like, oh shit, I just hit a soft spot. Like, he's crying. And I'm like, look, I'm like, okay, you don't have to talk about it. He's like, no, I need to be honest with you. And he's like, you did see me with a guy. And I'm like, I know I did. In my head, I'm like, I know I did. And he's like, you did see me with a guy. He's like, I didn't. He's like, since I was in middle school, I've always felt like I was more attracted to guys than I was to girls. And he was basically saying how he always used girls as cover up because he didn't know how he felt. Like, he didn't want to expose himself, like, you know. And I'm like, I totally understand that. Like, I definitely understand that. Like, you're basically finding yourself. And I'm just letting him talk, but in my head I'm like, you know, thinking of what I'm gonna say. So then he's like, you know, I always use girls as cover-ups and stuff like that. And he's like, I don't want to be this way, but I am this way. And I'm like, so then he's like, and then he's still crying, like, not hysterically, like, boo-hoo, but he's like, tears are coming down his eye. And I felt so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm giving him that, because I'm like, look, I'm the type of girl, like, your secret is safe with me. I mean, even though I did tell my friend, but he didn't know that. And I'm like, well, he did know that, because I did tell him that me and her went to his house. But he, you know, I'm like, your secret is safe with me, okay? I'm like, I was like, you know, I'm this type of person. You know that if you need to talk about something, I'm here. I'm like, I was like, personally, seeing you, I would have never thought that you were gay. And I'm like, or like guys, or bisexual, or whatever you were. That's what I said. And I'm like, I would have never known, because the way you come off, you come off straight. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, it's okay. Yes, I was a little upset, but I'm glad that you're honest with me now. And, you know, we just kept talking about the whole conversation. And he finally comes out. He finally basically told me everything about the guy. He met this guy at a party. And he didn't want to like him, but he ended up liking him. And he's been seeing him for 5 months. And me and him been talking for like about 8 months, kind of. We haven't been talking that long, like dating that long. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, you know, I'm asking him, did you like what you and the guy did. And I'm like, I didn't want to be too pushy, but I still want to ask questions. And I'm like, he's like, no, I never did that. He never went as far as to do that with the guy. But I'm like, okay, good. And I'm just like, you know, basically asking questions to protect myself and just to get to know him, like get to know more of his story. But now this day, he is fully gay. He's not talking to that guy that I caught him with. He's no longer talking to him. I think he's actually single right now, but he's not, but he's fully gay. Like everybody knows him as being fully gay. And I never really told anyone. I think now this is my first time actually like speaking about it since then. I mean, I speak about it with my friend and like my sister and stuff like that, but I don't really talk about it. But he said I could make the video, so before anyone tries to bash me like, why you putting his business on the spot, he told me it was okay. So I made sure I got his permission and he said it was okay. So I'm like, okay, cool. And yeah, that's basically the time I saw my boyfriend my ex-boyfriend in the bed with another guy. And I hope it was entertaining, and I hope you guys are like, this was like a cool story for you guys. And if you guys would like to see more stories, because trust me, I have a lot of stories. If you guys would like to see more stories, then please let me know in the comment section below and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And yes, thank you guys for watching.